From a man with two personas to a never-before-seen way to obtain a heart piece early, today we're counting down 30 facts and secrets you probably didn't know from the game The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. But first, thank you guys so much for the support over the past couple of weeks. We are so close to hitting 20,000 subscribers and we couldn't have done it without you guys. Now, while these videos aren't sponsored, I'm going to take a moment to sponsor myself by encouraging you guys to become channel members. As a channel member, you will have access to all of our current emotes that you can use while I live stream, as well as directly supporting me through YouTube, eliminating the need for third-party apps. Also, I will be prioritizing channel member questions when looking for community questions to make shorts on. Now, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Number 30. If you enter the Stockpot Inn on the final hours of the third day without completing the Anju and Cafe questline, you can see Cafe's marriage ceremony mask. In this room, you can also find a silver rupee worth 100 rupees, but there is also something really interesting about this room as well if you manipulate the camera to see inside of it before loading into the room. While using this angle, you can see that the marriage ceremony mask and the treasure chest aren't actually loaded until you walk into the room. Number 29. In Majora's Mask, if you go to the laundry pool during the second day, you can spot rupees at the end of the river blocked off by a grate. If you pay attention to the flow of the river, you'll notice that the water is flowing in the opposite direction, so eventually if you come back on the night of the second day, the rupees will have flown downstream and become obtainable. However, if you don't collect the rupees on the night of the second day, once the third day rolls around, it will be too late to collect the rupees because the current has brought them to the other side of the river, where they are once again blocked off by a grate. Number 28. Did you know that Gibdos in Majora's Mask may be blind? Normally, when you approach a Gibdo in Majora's Mask, you may feel on edge as they're known for targeting the player and jumping on their back upon approaching them. However, things get really interesting when you walk around them slowly, as they won't attack you. Moreover, if you stand still and they bump into you, they won't even notice you. Only when you start to run will the Gibdos react and grab you. In fact, if you wear the Bremen mask, you will march around so slowly that the Gibdos won't even notice you at all. It seems that Gibdos only react to speed, and what makes this even crazier is that if you throw on the bunny hood mask, the Gibdos will march towards you even if you're standing still. Number 27. Here is a secret that I discovered back in the day. Normally, to obtain this heart piece, you have to complete a side quest to acquire a permit for access to the Deku Flower. However, in the 3DS version of the game, this heart piece is easily obtainable. All you need to do is execute a backflip onto a nearby table, and then don the bunny hood mask to yeet your way towards the heart piece. Number 26. In Majora's Mask, among the non-targetable creatures designed to enhance the atmosphere is the butterfly. Surprisingly, butterflies can prove to be quite useful companions in your journey. While exploring Termina Field, butterflies occasionally indicate the location of hidden holes by hovering over them. However, their true versatility shines when you are holding a Deku Stick. By carefully approaching a butterfly with a Deku Stick in hand, you can lure it by walking slowly, and with some patience it'll transform into a fairy. Number 25. In Majora's Mask, you can come across an enemy called a blue bubble. If Link comes in contact with the blue bubble, he will get jinxed and you will be unable to use your sword. Even though you can't use your sword, you can still use your B button, so Zora and Goron Link can still punch, and you can still blow up the blue bubbles with your bomb mask. If you're feeling impatient though and want to get rid of the jinx early, all you need to do is play the Song of Storms and your curse will be removed. Number 24. According to Shigeru Miyamoto, there were nearly 30 masks in the game during its presentation at Space World. However, this number was reduced to 24 masks on the game's final release. One of the masks cut from the game was the Adult Link mask, because the developers struggled to find a purpose for it. In Majora's Mask, Link is already equipped with many of his adult items from Ocarina of Time, rendering the Adult Link mask kind of unnecessary. Additionally, several of Adult Link's attributes were integrated into Fierce Deity Link. Moreover, since Zora Link is a comparable size to Adult Link, the inclusion of an Adult Link mask wouldn't have significantly contributed to the gameplay. Now, this is my own speculation, but I think if the Adult Link mask would have been included in the game, it probably only would have been used to get into the milk bar. Number 23. If you chop a sign into pieces and regret not reading it, you don't have to worry, as there is a way to repair it. All you need to do is pull out any of your instruments and play the Song of Healing and the sign will put itself back together. Number 22. If you go to the Poe minigame and play the Song of Healing, the Poe Hunter will tell you that the Song of Healing won't fix all your problems. Despite saying this, he drops the price of his game down from 30 rupees to 10 rupees. Number 21. In Clocktown's trading post during the day, you'll find the shop owner ready to assist you. However, at 9 p.m. he promptly closes the shop, saying he is taking a break for an hour. Interestingly, next door at the Curiosity shop, a notice states that it will open in an hour. I'm sure that's totally a coincidence. Upon returning to the trading post after the break, you'll encounter a part-time employee managing the store. Despite his presence, it's evident that he lacks in-depth knowledge of the merchandise he is selling, and he gives funny descriptions on the items that he has little to no knowledge of. Number 20. Outside the Astral Observatory, you can find the part-time employee climbing a tree and swatting at what looks like nothing. However, the part-time employee is actually attempting to get rupees, and you can see this if you look through the telescope of the observatory. If you roll into the tree, you will knock him and the rupees down. And if you talk to him, he will say he stole the rupees from a crow. The crow he is more than likely referring to is actually a takuri, which is a bird that is known for stealing items. Number 19. The part-time employee usually works at the trading post between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. However, if you stick around during the day transition, the part-time employee will still be there. If you decide to leave the room, the normal shopkeeper will swap in his place. However, if you decide to stick around, you can have the part-time employee work from 10 p.m. one day until 10 p.m. the next day. Number 18. We have yet another secret about the part-time employee. If you talk to the part-time employee wearing various masks, he will give you unique responses. If you wear the postman's mask, he will tell you that he entered to win some concert tickets, and he is wondering if you have anything to deliver to him. The concert he is referring to is the Indigo-Go's that play inside the milk bar. Also, just funny thing, I've heard people call it the Indigo-Go's, and that just doesn't sound right. I don't know. You guys tell me which one sounds correct. If you talk to the part-time employee dressed as Mikau, who is a member of the band, he will say that he is in a band too, and that he is definitely going to attend the show. However, if you throw on the member hat and talk to him, he will say that he is too embarrassed to wear it, which means he won't be able to attend the show because the mask is required to get into the milk bar. Interestingly though, if you wear the couple's mask and talk to him, he will say that he wants a girlfriend and to get married. And finally, if you wear the stone mask, which makes you unnoticeable as a stone, the part-time employee will say, "We don't get many customers, so why does the boss have so much money?" Number 17. If you enter the bomb shop and look around, you can find an Easter egg showing plans to build a spaceship. If you read the plans, one of them says, "Plan moon trip experiment. Try using bomb-powered flight." The bomb shop owner actually has a lot of Easter eggs inside his shop related to space travel. You can find his plans scattered throughout the shop, both under and over the store counter. There's even a replica of a miniature spacecraft, as well as a small library behind the shopkeeper just past an Easter egg of a GameCube. And of course, more than likely, the books behind the GameCube are related to spacecraft. Number 16. If you go to the observatory and spy on Majora during the first day, he will dance around playfully. Then, after you get the moon's tear, he will spank his ass and fly away. However, if you come back on the third day and look at the Skull Kid through the telescope, he will just sit there with his neck turned to the side and twitching. If you continue to watch the Skull Kid until the final 6 hours of the game, when the tower rises, the Skull Kid will clip through the tower, then he will raise his arms like he's trying to summon the moon. This dark scene is supposed to imply that on the first day, Skull Kid has more control over his body, but by the third day, Majora has completely taken over. This scene actually makes me wonder as well though if Skull Kid himself was responsible for most of the events that happened before Link arrived in Termina. This may explain why the Skull Kid himself has an overwhelming amount of guilt at the end of the game when confronted by the Happy Mask Salesman, because maybe Skull Kid knew it truly wasn't all Majora. God, I love how dark this game is. Number 15. In Goron Village, after you talk to the owl, he will drop feathers to help you cross the invisible platforms to find the Lens of Truth. If you pay attention after getting the Lens of Truth and crossing the platforms, you will notice that the platforms lean to the left on the first day. However, on the second day, if you use the Lens of Truth, you will see that the platforms have shifted and spread out between the left and the right. However, on the third day, if you check again, the platforms will have shifted again, being almost entirely on the right side. Number 14. If you visit the swordsman's house, you'll notice two plants thriving in their pots on the patio, despite the harsh winter weather. Inside the shop, however, there are no plants to be found. Yet, if you return at night, you'll discover that the plants have mysteriously migrated indoors. It seems that the swordsmiths Sabora and Gabora have a hidden fondness for nurturing greenery. This is what I love about Majora's Mask. There are just so many little touches to the characters that add layers to them. I would have never guessed that these shady blacksmiths that have no problem taking your extra gold would have a passion for taking care of plants. Number 13. An enemy you can encounter in Majora's Mask is a Nejuron. The Nejuron resembles the Goron in appearance, and in Tails' description, he will state that it smells like gunpowder. If you attack the Nejuron, it will drop bombs, playing into its gunpowder description. Now, the Nejuron and the Goron have similar names. We can see the prefix Nejir, which means twisted or contorted in Japanese. Now, what's crazy about this is that Nejuron only exist in Termina, which leaves fans to wonder if these are Gorons that had been twisted or contorted by Majora. Number 12. Inside the Woodfall Temple, there are carnivorous lily pads lurking inside the poisonous water. Normally, you'd need to cleanse the water or use Deku Link to cross these lily pads, but with bombs you can blow up the lily pads and jump freely. Now, on our last fact, we mentioned that Nejuron are comprised of gunpowder, and what adds more into the theory that they are contorted Gorons by Majora is that if you jump into the lily pads as Goron Link, it'll explode and then you can jump freely. Number 11. Unlike butterflies, the moths that inhabit Woodfall Temple are far from friendly. Moths hover around the sources of fire such as torches and even pursue and harm Link if he carries a lit stick. Surprisingly, torches aren't the only fire source that'll attract these pests. Bringing out bombs will attract them in as well. Fortunately, bombs are an effective weapon against the moths because they're capable of eliminating them permanently. A fascinating detail worth noting is that using a powder keg not only destroys obstacles but also attracts and annihilates the moths, presenting an additional strategy for dealing with these pesky creatures. Number 10. Throughout your travels in Termina, you'll come across Deku Flowers you need to traverse through the dungeons. If you go inside them, they will shoot you up and allow you to temporarily fly around. Now, normally when you jump from a tall height, Link will take damage and groan out in pain. However, if you fall off any ledge and land on a Deku Flower, it'll keep you from taking any damage. In fact, when Link descends down into Termina, he lands on a Deku Flower, and he is even surprised at its life-saving function. Number 9. Crimea has a crush on Anju's missing fiancé, Cafe. Number 8. The Gerudo Fortress stands as a heavily guarded stronghold, with Gerudos watching for any signs of intrusion. From the vantage point atop the bridge within the fortress, you can see how long the vision extends. What's interesting though is if you come back to the fortress during the night and test the same vision distance, and when doing this you will see that it takes them getting much closer to you to spot you. Number 7. In Ikana Canyon, you may encounter a suspicious bald man sprinting across a field. This is Sakon the Thief. True to his reputation, he's the one responsible for stealing the bomb bag from the old lady on the night of the first day. If you engage in conversation with him, he'll compliment your sword and ask to examine it briefly. However, Tattle, demonstrating a newfound protective instinct towards Link, immediately reacts by attacking Sakon's face. Should you attempt to converse with him again, Tattle will persistently pester him with an ear-ringing noise, serving as a warning of Sakon's potential danger. This is a beautiful testament to Tattle's character development throughout the game, from initially being somewhat aloof to ultimately demonstrating a deep care and protectiveness for Link. This moment in Ikana Canyon showcases the bond that has grown between them. Number 6. Your bow in Majora's Mask offers a variety of powers that can be unlocked in dungeons, such as Ice, Fire, and Light. Each ability not only serves different purposes, like creating ice platforms in the water with ice arrows, but it also alters the drops from defeating enemies. For instance, when defeating blue bubbles with a regular bow, they'll typically drop 3 items, with them being 3 rupees or 3 heart pieces depending on Link's health. However, using ice arrows on them reduces the drops to just 1 heart piece or 1 rupee, making them less rewarding. On the other hand, using fire arrows results in a generous pickup of 30 arrows. Yet, the most lucrative option emerges with the light arrows, as they cause blue bubbles to drop a rupee worth 50 rupees. It's clear that, in terms of rewards, the light arrows reign supreme. Number 5. In the introduction sequence for Majora's Mask, when leaving Clocktown for the first time, you'll see secret panorama shots unfold based on the direction you exit in. Most players have likely experienced the scene from the south, as the game nudges you towards the southern swamp initially. However, there are unique perspectives awaiting those who exit through other directions. Exiting from the east reveals captivating shots centered around the observatory and the path leading to Icona Canyon. The shot from the north provides unique perspectives from elevated positions. However, I would argue that the most visually stunning shot from each side occurs when you enter from the west. The camera work in this area is undeniably cinematic, and it captures the essence of Termina Field. However, it's just a shame that 3 out of 4 of these cutscenes aren't going to be seen by most players. Number 4. When you first enter Clocktown, you'll notice a man standing on top of a structure being built for the festival, gazing anxiously at the moon. This man is simply known as Apprentice, and he expresses his concern about the moon's growing size if you speak to him after 12 hours. However, by day 2, he mysteriously disappears and is replaced by the carpenter Brummer. So, where does he go? After collecting all the Skulltulas in the Great Bay House, the apprentice reappears. If you clear the house on day 1, he rewards you generously with a wallet and a silver rupee, explaining that he has given you his life savings and he seeks refuge from the impending doom. Should you complete the challenge on day 2, he only offers you 50 rupees, expressing a belief that money will be worthless soon. Finally, if you finish the task on day 3, all he can spare is 20 rupees, expressing a hope that it will be enough. Number 3. In Majora's Mask, there are several key songs necessary for progressing through the story, like the Goron's Lullaby. Prior to entering the Snowhead Temple, playing this melody causes the giant Goron to go into a deep slumber, allowing us to access the dungeon. Where things really get interesting is that the lullaby affects other Gorons. If the Goron's Lullaby is played near any random Goron, they'll curl into a ball and peacefully doze off. Number 2. After talking to Madame in Majora's Mask, she will give you Kafei's mask in order to help her find her missing son. What's really interesting is just about everybody in the town has something to say about Kafei. But if you talk to the owner of the trading post, he will say that he hasn't seen that kid in a while. This, at first glance, might seem like nothing, but it's actually a hint towards him knowing more than he appears to be letting us know. This is because the rest of the town are referring to Kafei the adult being missing, while he is referring to Kafei the child going missing. The reason for this is because the trading post man runs the curiosity shop, and through his other persona, he has a connection to Kafei. Number 1. Normally, in Majora's Mask, when you go to fight Majora, you're supposed to have all 4 of the giants in order to stop the moon. However, if you only save 1 to 3 of the giants, you will get an alternative cutscene where they fail to stop the moon. However, the giants do help as they give you 1 more minute to play the Song of Time and go back to the dawn of the first day. But if you fail to do so, the cutscene will continue and you will see the world come to an end. Well guys, that does it. Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games of all time, so it's really been a joy to go back and explore some old areas. Sorry this video took a little bit longer to make than expected though. I recently started a physically demanding job and honestly it just took me a little while to actually have energy again to be able to make videos. But if you guys enjoy content like this and want to keep up to date with my videos as they release, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Also, if you guys would like to gain access to our emotes so that you can use them while I live stream here on YouTube, please consider becoming a channel member. It helps me out immensely, and with me moving my live streaming from Twitch over to here on YouTube, you will get to use it now more than ever because I really love interacting with you guys and answering your cartoon and video game related questions while playing classic games. Alrighty guys, you all take care, have a good one.